Have you ever felt like you're just drowning in data but absolutely starving for real answers? Well, today, we're going to walk through the process that turns all that raw, chaotic data into smart, confident action. Let's dive in. Okay, so imagine this. You're in charge. You look at the charts, and the sales numbers are just falling off a cliff. Panic starts to creep in, right? Everybody's got an opinion, but nobody seems to have a real answer. What's your move? Where do you even start? This is such a common problem today. We have spreadsheets, databases, reports. Data is coming out of our ears. We are completely data rich, but we're information poor. The answers have to be in there somewhere, but how on earth do we find them? So, let's zoom out for a second and start with the big picture. Business intelligence, or BI for short. Now, this isn't just one thing. Think of it as the entire toolkit. You know, the software, the strategies, the best practices that a company uses to get a clear view of what's happening and, well, steer the ship in the right direction. Okay, so if BI is the toolkit, then data analytics is the actual work. It's you, with your sleeves rolled up, digging into that data, inspecting it, and using it to build real evidence-based conclusions. This is how we go from just having data to actually using it to make a difference. So how do we do it? I promise, it's not magic. It's a structured process. It's a 5-stage journey that's designed to take us from that initial state of total confusion to a final destination of clarity and confidence. And here it is. This is our roadmap, the 5 core stages of the analytics playbook. It all starts with defining our questions and then discovering the information we need. Then comes the really critical step of cleaning the data before we can analyze it, and then finally communicating what we found. All right, first things first. You can't find an answer if you don't know the right question to ask. Stage 1 is all about defining our goals. What are we actually trying to solve here? What metrics, or as they're often called KPIs, are going to tell us if we're on the right track? Once we know our questions, then we can move to stage 2, gathering the raw materials, all the data we're going to need to do a proper analysis. And now we get to the stage that, let's be honest, everyone wants to skip. But you absolutely can't, because raw data is almost always a complete mess. It's inconsistent, it's got errors, it's full of junk. Before we do anything else, we have to clean it up. Just think of this stage like you're doing quality control on a factory assembly line. We're getting rid of duplicates, or fixing or noting the missing pieces, and we're making sure every single component is in a standard, uniform format. It's tedious, for sure, but this is what ensures our final results are actually accurate and reliable. Let me be really clear about this. This part is not glamorous. Nobody's making a Hollywood blockbuster about data scrubbing. But you can't build a skyscraper on a shaky foundation. Clean data is the absolute, non-negotiable bedrock of every single great insight we hope to find. Okay, with our data clean and ready to go, we can finally get to the fun part, the analysis. This is where we put on our detective hats. This is where the data starts to give up its secrets. Now, there are 4 main levels of analysis, and they build on each other beautifully. First, we start with descriptive analytics. This is just the facts. What happened? Then we move to diagnostic. Why did it happen? From there, we can look forward with predictive analytics. What's likely to happen next? And finally, the holy grail, prescriptive analytics. What should we actually do about it? A key technique that helps us find the why is something called data mining. And this isn't about confirming what you already think is true. No, this is about hunting for the surprising, totally unexpected patterns and relationships that you didn't even know you should be looking for. There's this classic, almost legendary example. A store was analyzing its sales data and found this bizarre connection. Guys buying diapers late at night were also very frequently buying beer. Who would have thought? But once they knew that, they could just stick the beer next to the diapers and boom, sales went up. That's the power of finding these weird, unexpected patterns. So finding those wild patterns is one thing. But what about proving the relationships we already suspect are there? To really nail down the why, analysts use some pretty powerful statistical tools. And one of the most common is called regression analysis. It lets us measure the strength of the connection between different things. So you might run an analysis and get a result that looks just like this. A single number. R squared equals 64%. On its own, that doesn't mean a whole lot, does it? But when you put it in context, it's incredibly powerful. So let's say we were looking at car sales. This number tells us that 64% of the ups and downs in those sales can be directly explained by changes in people's disposable income.
All of a sudden, we've jumped from what happened to why it happened. We've found a real quantifiable reason. That's the why.
Finding that why, that's a huge victory. But we're not done yet. An insight that just sits in a spreadsheet is totally useless. The final, and maybe most critical stage, is turning that insight into actual action. And this is the stage where data becomes influence. It's about telling a compelling story. You use neutral, fact-based language. You use clear visuals, like charts and graphs, to make the insights impossible to ignore. But the most important thing is providing clear, actionable recommendations that are tailored to your audience. The best analysis in the world is worthless if nobody does anything with it. So let's circle all the way back to our company with those plummeting sales. After going through these 5 stages, they're not panicking anymore. They know exactly why sales were falling, and now they have a clear, data-driven plan to turn things around. This is the big shift. This is what business analytics is all about. It moves an entire organization away from just guessing and reacting and toward knowing and planning. It replaces decisions based on gut feelings and opinions with decisions based on cold, hard evidence. So if you take away just one thing today, let it be this. Data analytics isn't really about numbers or fancy software. It's a disciplined process that lets you take the chaotic, overwhelming world of data and transform it into the kind of clarity that leads to great decisions. We've seen how this whole process helps us figure out what happened and why. It even gives us the power to predict what might happen next, and that leaves us with one final, fascinating question to think about. With all this amazing ability to analyze the past, what's the single most important question we should be asking about the future?